We'll set that match up right now, Fred Scott. 130 pounds will be Brad Brooks, a senior from Hill City. Comes in at 26-8. In the black and red singlet with the red front, going against Jason Bell, a senior from Rossville, 34-3. I believe he's in the all-black singlet, so we'll keep an eye on these two. Two tremendous wrestlers doing battle today for the championship at 130.
Yeah, this should be a good match. Of course, Brooks narrowly missed it last year, and Bell has been here several times, and he's had a good tournament this week. He lost in the finals of the regionals last week. He's also lost to Gustin Andrews from Eudora and Troy Beeler of Harrington, who came in at 125 pounds undefeated. So no shame in those losses, but Bell's been at it for a while, and he did an excellent job last night against Lance Stoll from Oakley in the semifinals. Of course, Stoll wound up with an eye cut in that match, and had to take a lot of time to get that taken care of. But Bell was able to beat him 6-1, and that's a pretty good beating for a wrestler as good as Lance Stoll is.
Stoll came back to finish 4th in this tournament. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Jason Bell from Rossville, as we said, the Bulldogs, head coach Mike Otto. 6-1 winner over Stoll, as Fred was talking about. Took 3rd at the Rossville Regional, and at state last year, he finished 5th. A 30-8 record for the year at 125. Well, the match is delayed again. It's a nosebleed, so we have a little bit of a delay. We're going to take 1-2. And we've got state championship wrestling action. We're going to be back in just a few minutes again here at the 321A State Wrestling Championships at Fort Hays State. Back after this. And welcome back to the 1993 321A State Wrestling Championships from Gross Memorial Coliseum at Fort Hays State University. Again on Smoky Hills Public Television, the proud sponsors making this possible. We're back at 130 pounds, still in the first period, 40 seconds to go, and we've got a matchup between Brad Brooks of Hill City in the red and black singlet against Jason Bell from Rossville in the all-black singlet. As they work out of bounds, no score, a pretty even matchup, Fred Scott.
Nobody's able to really get much of anything. You know, for takedowns, you've got to get somebody off balance or change his direction or somehow. And so far, we just haven't had anybody able to do that. And we're called a stalemate. We're going to go back to the middle of the mat and start it up again.
How important is balance to a wrestler, Fred?
Without it, he's dead. I've seen guys standing on their head, and you swear that they're going to go down and get pinned, and the next thing you know, they're on top pinning the other fella, and you just... Balance is extremely important to a wrestler.
10 seconds left in this balanced match, I guess.
So far.
Yeah.
So far.
Brad Brooks from Hill City took 2nd at the Colby Regional to Stahl from Oakley. So Stahl was a regional champion coming in. Brad also took 2nd at the Mid-Continent League to Bryce Glick of Plainville. Bryce ended up 3rd in this tournament. That was a 6-5 match. Brooks took 1st at the Panther Classic. Boy, some really tough tournaments around the area. Just underway in the second period, no score, and Bell out on front. I want to tap your knowledge here in just a bit. We'll talk a little bit about the difference between dual action and team action because you have 2 different rankings. We'll touch that as time permits. And again, we talk about balance, 2 evenly matched wrestlers right now. Let's touch on that while we've got kind of a stalemate. We mentioned some teams do well in duels, other teams do better in tournaments. What's the difference?
Well, if you've got a team that's got some inexperienced wrestlers on it and a few really outstanding individuals, chances are you're going to be a pretty good tournament team because those outstanding individuals are going to get into the finals and place for you, and that's where most of your points come from. But where a team with no standouts might have a real good dual match record simply because they're tough up and down the line, but they're just not real outstanding anywhere. But they'll win a lot of dual matches because of that. And so we talked earlier about this tournament. You know, you might not have to have too many people here to win it. Well, case in point, Stockton. They brought 6 boys, and they're in first place, and they got it locked.
Yeah, Coach Brad Fredrickson said that might be the case this year. It might be one of those years where you don't need a lot of numbers to win this tournament. And boy, he was very prophetic because that is turning out to be the case. Boy, a lot of maneuvering, but not a lot of points. Still no score. On top, Jason Bell broke down Brooks to the mat, but he can't get an advantage right now. No score underway in the second period. 54 seconds, and it's one of those matches where you have a lot of jockeying for position. They just can't move anybody through.
Yeah, back to your point about the number of qualifiers. The less teams you have in a tournament, the more qualifiers you need to win it. 6A, for instance, is only 32 teams. 5A is only 32 teams. 4A is 64 teams. So you come here to these guys, and there's, 100 and some odd teams in the state and in this class, and so you don't need as many good wrestlers to win it as you do to win one of those smaller tournaments.
And 51 schools have qualified wrestlers to this tournament, so quite a few teams, and as I said, a great turnout. If you haven't had a chance to see one of these in person, please check out a Kansas State High School Activities Association tournament in person, whether it be wrestling or basketball. The sub-states in basketball are starting up next weekend, and then the state tournament follows that. Well, I'll tell you, it's just going to be great. A lot of action coming up around the state of Kansas, sponsored by the Activities Association. Final year for Nelson Hartman as the executive director. Our good wishes to him. Well, they're working their way towards the edge of the mat right now. 19 seconds in the second period, and still no advantage.
Brooks is on the verge of an escape here if he can get that head free, but as long as Bell's got that lock around the head and the arm there, I don't think they're going to give the escape because they feel he still hasn't broken the control. Now, if they feel he's broken it, but he's still working for reversal, they could give him 1 point, but they said no, he had not broken control, so he stays there.
0-0 after 2 periods. Brad Brooks getting here, beat Kenworthy from Frankfort. Or hang on a second. Yes, beat Kenworthy from Frankfort 3-0 in the semifinals. Brooks had to get by Andrews of Eudora 9-4, and in his first match, Brooks got by Griffin of Chase County 4-2. So some close matches for Brad.
Yeah, Frankfort's another new program in the state. I believe this is the first year they've had wrestling, and they got a boy in the state semifinals, and that's hard to do. We got Bell coming out in front there. He's got his escape. He's got a 1-point lead.
Boy, I bet you those guys are saying, gosh, I'm glad the glue is gone. They've been stuck on each other most of the match. 1:30 left in this third period.
Now we have some interesting strategy. One needs a takedown to go ahead. The other one needs to keep from getting taken down, but he'd like to have a takedown for some insurance points. So what do we do?
Put another nickel in the jukebox.
Yeah.
Now they went out of bounds, and they're back to the center match again. Brad Brooks with the red on the front of his singlet, and Jason Bell, the senior from Rossville, matching heads. He's in the all-black singlet with the red stripes on the thighs. Up in front, 1-0. He had that escape. It's a close match. Fans still getting into it.
Brooks trying to use that whizzer to throw Bell down and catch him off balance, but Bell's able to get his balance back.
Explain a whizzer.
Whizzer, that's the move where you saw that Brooks had his arm hooked over Jason Bell's arm there, and it's a situation where if he knows how to throw his hips into the other guy and then pull that arm forward at the same time, he can stand him clear up on his head and turn him on his back. But it's awful hard to work against. Of course, the guy who's got his arm trapped, he needs to get his arm as low as he can.
Spinning move didn't work, and it's still 1-0.
Bell tried a desperation there, and he didn't have the arm tight enough. Bell flat down and Brooks tried that, and Bell winds up with his other takedown, which was exactly what Bell was hoping would happen, that he would get a cheap takedown, and he did.
So a defensive battle is won by a bad offensive move. It's 3-0, 3 seconds left. What's going to happen? He got a point for the escape.
Bell started to celebrate a little bit too early, but he still wins at 3-1.
Boy, a takedown, or I should say an escape for Bell early in the third period, and then that takedown got him the 2 points, and he picks up the win. Jason Bell gets the victory. Okay, let's take a look at that takedown and see how that works on our replay. Again, Jason Bell picks up the win over a good wrestler from Hill City by the name of Brooks. Pick this apart for us, Coach.
Brooks was tied up in there, and he felt like I think he felt like he had that arm locked up tight enough that he might be able to throw the hand into the chest and spin him down to his back and get a takedown. But what happened was he slipped off that arm, fell straight to his back, and of course Bell jumped on top of him and won the match. But I think they forgot to tell him to wait till the cake got here to celebrate.
As we're going to see, Brooks picked up a point or two. That's great. So a nice move by Bell to pull that out. It's amazing. You see a match like this where there's not a lot of daylight. You see Brooks almost getting back into the match, but time just ran out on him. It was a defensive match, and Brooks tried to do something to make something happen, and just couldn't work.
When you're behind in the closing seconds, you got to do something to make it happen, and that's exactly what he tried to do, and nobody can fault him for that. Yeah, he maybe made a mistake, but what was his other choice?
Tremendous match. Again, Jason Bell ups his record to 35-3. Holy cow. A Rossville Bulldog picks up a championship at 130 pounds. 35 wins in the season. Again, he took 5th in state last year. He gets a championship this year. Brad Brooks of Hill City goes to 26-9. Again, he picks up a 2nd place medal. Right now, we're looking at the award stand for 125 pounds. In 6th place goes to Zach Bua. We'll watch the match here in just a minute. Troy Beeler of Harrington took 5th. 4th place goes to Jim Carlson of Kinsley. Travis Woofter of Oberlin took 3rd. Again, in 2nd place, Brett Marsteller, from Dighton takes 2nd, and Chris Lampy of St. Francis finally gets that gold at 125. We are now at 130